Good morning.
Roz
Welcome. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Avagnoni.
I'm bringing you this week's Ascended World. We're laughing because they added in Zoom this like loud voice that says, "This is being recorded." When we hit the recording button, it always startles me because I forget it's there.
Well, and now you have to accept that you're willing to participate in something that's recorded.
Yes. Yep.
So,
So welcome to Monday.
right. Grumbling Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that problem typically. It's been a weekend
It
and
has.
Uh, yeah, actually, this turned out to be, as always, the perfect topic. But, you know,
Mhm.
we have a lot of change going on, and some really interesting stuff happened last week. Um, where in a share with someone, I went to Atlantis, which was such a really cool experience because it was so vivid and tactile. Like I was disoriented because it was like I just stepped into another room. Good morning,
Right.
Michael. And in that, the person and I that was there with together, we got this spliced piece of our DNA back, or we took it back, or we were ready to go out this other stuff. And then it's all been alignment. So you and I started talking about the whole change thing, right?
Right.
So many different facets of interesting stuff because we keep on, good morning, Yashmin. We keep on getting messages about change, right? And many of us are, getting this pull, this redirection,
Right.
there's something else, there's something more. And we're still like, feel like we're feeling around in the dark because we don't have a clear picture of what it is.
Right.
So,
Well, and everybody deals with that change better. So the symptoms for everybody are so different. And it's hard to it's just a challenge to try to direct energy right now. It's like we've taken away the need to have that propulsion by the triggers and the distractions and all these other things, but yet we have. It's like we have, and I know we say it all the time. We have no context for what to do next, but it's like we don't have the guide. We don't
right.
have what we've done to guide us.
Well, and in the past, like what's our pattern been, right? Gloria, good morning, Gloria. We have had this pattern of we decide on what we're doing in the future based on what we did in the past. So it has nothing
Right.
to do with present,
Right. Right. Which
right?
then, if you're one of those who always is worried about the future, when you can't even figure out the present, it's like then that worry tends to become consuming. It's like, what do I do with this? Where do I go with this?
Right.
And that points to again staying in the present moment.
Yes. Yes. And really, right? Well, that seems to be like our catchphrase right now.
Right.
Stay present, stay present, stay present. Because that's what just keeps on coming to us, many of us in guidance is just stay present one moment at a time, right?
Right.
And what we've had, as I have integrated that or been focusing, my focus has been on integrating that splice DNA, activating, aligning, all that kind of stuff. And then I discovered another piece that was like another part of it. And anyway, it doesn't even matter how I saw it. What I realized was it is still a challenge for many so like we can, even when we can say, I am changing moment to moment, right? We
Right.
still expect everybody around us to be the same.
Right. Well, and our surroundings to be the same.
Yes. Yeah. So it's this weird dichotomy that we're not even conscious of that. And that's what I think it was in my face this weekend. And my husband and I
Mm-hmm.
had some really raw discussions about certain things. And, and it's like when you come to a place of realizing, well, but that's not who I am right now. Why are
Right.
you still looking at me like I was 15 years ago or whatever, it doesn't even matter who it is, because we do that all the time. Because at the same time, we can flip it around and say, well, I still see you the same way that I saw you 50. You know what I'm saying? But then I'm going to fault you for doing that, but I'm still doing that. Right.
Right.
And so it's like, it's really an interesting thing and it's really important, because at first I was like, well, why is this up in my face again in this way? And then I realized, oh, it's because it's to show me you can't do the same. Like, you can't sit there and demand that everybody see who you are right now. And
Right.
then you only see them what they were, 5 hours ago, 5 days ago, 5 years ago. Right.
Yep.
And expect them to be the same and all that kind of stuff. And it's a challenge, because you know what? The ego says, I see a shadow of that. So that means they're the same as they were. See, they're doing the same thing, or they're in the same
Right.
pattern, blah, blah, blah. And then the ego's like, no, 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 no. See, they are still the same. Right. And then that's what we get stuck in.
Well, and then that shadow reflects the shadow of that sameness in ourselves,
Yes, exactly.
which then goes, "Ugh."
Yeah, exactly. Self-loathing, self whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, that's so powerful, though, to be able to see it within ourselves, because
Right.
that's when we can start to change it.
Right. Right. That observation and that acknowledgement, and the acknowledgement without judgment
Yes.
of, oh, there it is. There it is. I see it now.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really powerful. That's the powerful part, because patterns and comfort zones, because all the patterns we have are comfort zones. Right.
Right. Right. Well, they're to hold those comfort zones in place.
Right. The grooves that we've created. And
Right.
so part of the comfort zones is we still see our spouse, our children, our parents, our friends, the same that we've seen them all along.
Right.
Right. Which is a disservice, honestly.
It is.
Just as it's a disservice for others to see you as you weren't, like 5, 10, 15 years ago, whatever,
Well, and if we have that expectation of those around us, that means that we're holding it for ourselves as well, even though we say we're not.
Right. Michael says that taking for granted energy. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yep. And as we are, so it's like sitting there like, okay, well, as we are, we look at, in many ways, often, and then you and I were talking about this last week, like, oh, it's hard to find the words now.
It really is. It really is.
But it's like tapping into, all right. So like in you and I, we put this whole podcast together as part of a collective stream of consciousness, tapping into the collective stream of consciousness. Right.
Right.
And we realized, so just to give everybody backstory, like you and I had started doing weekly energy shows with each other.
Mhm.
I don't know, what is it, 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, something like crazy like that.
I guess I can't even remember.
And so then I would start talking to the Trinity practitioners about the stuff you and I would talk about, because I realized that what you and I had going on in our personal lives every week were so parallel, right? And then I would talk to all these other people, same energy, different situation, same energy, different situation. It was all the same thing, which then turned into, oh, well, it's truly what the collective is going through. But here's the thing. So we are changing collectively, right? And to change collectively is for us to have to do our individual changing. But here's the funny part is, the ego we get egoic about our own changing. Right.
Right.
And we think in our minds, oh, well, I'm going through this. This is only my thing, da, 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 da. Right. And you don't know what I'm going through, because I'm going through this, but we're all going through it.
Right. Our own version of it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Michael says, can the default change, or do we not want it to change for our own illusion of security?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Can we change more than one variable at a time? What do you mean by that? Can the default change, or do we not want? Well, yeah, the ego believes that what it knows is comfortable.
Right. Right.
Right. And so therefore anything that's unknown is uncomfortable, and therefore a danger, right? That's the ego. And that's part of this change without context, because it's really trusting and allowing ourselves to be all of what we are and to be different in every moment if that's what it calls for.
Right. And to also come to the realization that we've done this before. When we came into this density, we did it just in the reverse order.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's more of that allowing
Mm-hmm.
that becomes allowing, and the trusting to realize I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. And if I just allow, then it will happen. It's inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yet I think that's one of our biggest battles. So like Michael says, can we change more than one variable? We can change as many variables as we want in any moment.
And I
No.
think that they are.
Yeah. It's just that our mind / ego says, oh, this is tough. Michael says, kind of like a science experiment of how you know something changes by changing or variable,
One variable at a time,
one variable at a time.
and allowing everything else to remain unchanged. Right.
Right.
But I think that the variables are so core that we're changing, and we're only observing it at such a higher level that it looks like multiple are changing at the same time.
Well, and the thing is, the ego again wants to have a point of reference,
Right.
right? A point of propulsion, right? Not now.
Right.
This is now and not now, right?
Right.
Me and not me, separation and duality. And that's that point of reference. And so we're so used to doing that. It's like, well, what if we let go of the point of reference, which we've been talking about for years? But
Yep.
it's like we have to take our like death grip off of that.
Right.
One
Right.
fingernail at a time. And then sometimes you
Right.
put the fingers back down. So, it's jarring to the ego. It's jarring in the way that it feels like, well, we have no ground under our feet anymore, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, Michael says plan changes. Well, the thing is, when we truly let go of needing that reference point, right?
Mhm. Right.
Then it snowballs
Right.
and it becomes all encompassing. And that is the letting go and the surrendering that the ego is terrified of doing, because what if, right? Because then it's like, well, now I can't control or plan, and that's really not comfortable.
Well, and pretty much not acceptable.
Right. Right. And scary.
Right. Right. And what do I do?
Yeah.
Because if I don't know what to do, then
Or
why
if I don't know
do?
what not to do, right? Because
Right.
if you're
Right.
right. Yeah. Like, what if I do this wrong?
Right. I mean, this touches on so many things, because then it uncovers any of those deep-seated beliefs that there is a right and wrong,
Yes.
that even though we've looked at, and even though we've talked about, and even though we've done that, we still hold.
Right. Right. So take a breath. All of us need to just
Right.
step back and take a breath, because yeah, we're really starting to roll. And I feel like everything's going to be not just one big step of change at a time anymore. It's going to be about 20 or so, or more.
Well, it's just that I don't know. I see it as like that projectile vomiting of changes. It's like, okay, let's figure this out, and
Yeah.
then more.
What a lovely metaphor.
Right, right. It can make you feel better to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right. Right. Not while you're doing it sometimes.
Right, right,
Yeah. And so, yeah. And we do talk mostly about looking inside, because that's where it comes, that's where it starts from. But when we truly accept this from the inside, it's also being able to say, I'm going to just leave the whole playing field open for everyone who I interact with to be different right now.
right, right.
to be
And
changing.
that also is coming to terms with the unconditional acceptance of their journey as well.
Right. Right.
Man, we must be hitting on something big. It is pouring at my house now. Pouring rain.
Bring on, yeah, bring it on. Washed it all out, right?
Yeah,
So
just
many
what we
structures.
need.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been like this morning I started digging into that in meditation of okay, so where's the apology and forgiveness, right? When
Uh-huh.
we've held others to expectations of what they were not, right? Or what they choose to
Right.
not be or choose to be or what they've been, and all that kind of stuff, as well as myself, because they're me anyway.
Right.
So if we're
Right.
doing that, then we're holding it, right? So we can sit there and cry and scream and pull our hair out as much as we want and say, well, why don't you see me who I am right now? But if you're not allowing yourself to see you as you are right now, and you don't still somewhere in the cracks and crevices still have judgment about somebody or somehow, some way that you've been before in some, even if it's in other lifetimes,
Right.
well, then it's going to reflect back to you and it's louder than it's ever been before. So then it's like smack in the face, smack in the
Right.
face kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. And I really think that the closer it's almost like that double-edged sword, the closer we get to our authenticity and living that and staying more within that behavior, the more this comes up and the more that we deviate from that, the more glaring it becomes to us and the more unacceptable it is and the
Yeah.
more smack in the face it is.
Yeah.
And the more it's reflected back to us and other people.
Immediately.
Right. Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's, everyone I've spoken to, actually, it seems like I've spoken to a lot of people in the last couple weeks, and everybody's got the same response. And it's been breathless. See, I can't even, because I keep on yawning too,
Right.
but yeah. And people say it's been breathless.
Mhm. Well, and it's almost I don't want to say an undercurrent because it's more than that, but it's you can't verbalize what it is.
Yeah.
We haven't fully been able to find the words to describe what's happening.
Right.
It's like we can see it, we can feel it, we can almost touch it, and we can almost know it, but being able to put it to words yet is not
Yeah.
there, which then compounds that need for the allowing and the trust and the
Yeah. Oh, see more yawning.
right.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And yeah, how can we let go of the structures of what we have right now? Like, and so we think about that, about our interaction with ourselves and others, but at the same time, we're also changing this reality, right? And if we don't let down structures of expectation, and that all goes along with, like allowing ourselves to start to see each other as coming to the table with the foundation of unity and wholeness, right? As if we're all the same,
Mm-hmm.
and celebrate, look at the beautiful facets of individuality we've created in that wholeness, versus we're so different, we don't even understand each other because we're in this different
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
So it's a matter of shifting that. And part of the shifting is, again, letting go of those expectations and those beliefs. And like, look at what we've gone through in the past year. Like, we keep on doing this to ourselves and it keeps on smacking us in the face. The Black Lives Matter, the Asian thing, like we've had what, LGBT, like it's one group after another of individuality.
Right.
And all that we keep on focusing on, though, is the separation and how different they are. And it's like, okay, well, we do it under the guise of, oh, we'll let them, let them celebrate their unique, the uniquity and the uniquity, or whatever you want to call it. But we forget to say we're all together, like we are all the divine,
Mhm.
and we're just embodied and as the beautiful facets of reflection that we've created because of so we're all the same.
Right. And it seems that we are, I don't know, I just look at it as we're building towers to that separation and that distraction of focusing on the sameness, and then further distractions on, well, if every life matters, then these two cells matter. That might be a life. And it's like that it's built on you talk about foundations. There is no foundation. The foundation is what we need to be focusing on, and that's the sameness,
Right.
and that's the unity that's
Yes.
needed.
It's the symphony of bringing the symphony together.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so the thing is, if we can't just see those in our immediate purview as changing in every moment, right? Then
Right.
then we are keeping ourselves in this honeycomb hive, right, of separation without moving. It's freezing us. It's paralyzing us in
Right.
place.
Right. Right.
So that's a pretty small thing to think about, right?
Oh, just that.
Just that. And we don't want to we don't ever want to, because we think about culturally what we take as, oh well, that's good old Sam, he's always been like that, like, and it's like we take a lot of uh romanticism and respect for somebody who's stayed the same, right, or has been perceived to stay the same.
Right. Reliable.
Right. Right.
Predictable.
Reliability,
Right.
predictability. And it's like, that's a cultural thing we've created. So, a lot of conversations came up this weekend about, it was funny in different contexts, on how we have these ideas of, it's like, oh, well, in one conversation, like somebody got upset because there was a Native American term that was incorporated. And I was like, but it's an accurate use of the word.
Right.
And I'm like, well, our entire language is a melting pot of other languages. So don't sit here and start being judgy over, like, because it's incorporated, because isn't that what our whole goal is for everybody to be acknowledged and incorporated into the whole? But we've
Right.
sort of gone to this other extreme of, oh yes, we have to acknowledge everybody separately, but then we have to keep them separate, but then that doesn't do anything,
Right. Exactly.
and that's the whole change. That's the whole, like, okay, because and then what happens is the more we keep things separate, the more we hold the history, the more we bring it forward, the more we keep
Right.
separation, and we prevent resolution, and we prevent incorporation.
Right.
And so, and I'm not talking specifically about, any ethnic group or anything else, but this is all of it, or any of it.
Mm-hmm.
Gender roles or
Well,
whatever.
by doing that, it totally negates that cycle of forgiveness that we've talked about before,
Right.
because it's all about no moving on,
Right.
just continually bringing it back up,
Right. And the whole forgiveness is
revisiting.
to remind everybody it was apology, forgiveness, acceptance, embrace, love, and have gratitude for,
Gratitude. Right.
and complete, and completion, and have it completed. The whole set of lessons. Everything we have outstanding in any judgment or whatever can be applied to. And that's what I actually was doing meditation this morning too. It's all about that. All the lessons in not seeing things as they are right now,
Right.
or people as they are right now,
Right.
and let all that be resolved, to be able to come to the table. If I require somebody to come to the table with me as I am right now, then it is only logical, not, I don't even like to say logical, only natural to think that for me to be present with them as they are right now.
Right. Right.
So, and that's where we start. So that's where we start, because when we can come to the table as and see each other, you know, it goes back to the whole namaste, right? The divine in me sees the divine in you.
Exactly.
And to me, that is such a powerful thing, because it has nothing to do with our stupid day-to-day irritations, our, you know, blah, 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 you know, the things that in our physicality. It has to do with what's in here. Such a different perspective. And for us to do it, like, people always ask, well, that's just, you know, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, really, what can we do to change things? It's like, no.
That's it. Right.
And, you know, what do we come to that from? Is from what? Self-love, coming back down to self-love and worthiness and
allowing.
Yes, and allowing.
And worthiness.
Yes. All, by the way, part of our Wonderland program, our little shameless plug.
That's right.
Where we're doing trust this month. Yes. Or we're launching trust this month. It's self-paced. So we still have many people still in the worthiness one we launched last month, because I'll tell you, that one digs deep.
It does. It definitely did.
So
and continues to.
Yes. Yeah. Continues to. It's like, I haven't gone through the whole thing as a participant yet. So anyway, okay.
Sandra has a comment. I had a vision a few years ago of creating a building center that brought different religions, cultures, and differences together to learn from each other.
That's cool.
That is good.
Yeah. Well, and just think about, there's the woman that you follow, that she incorporates a lot of different practices and whatever, and was being publicly, I don't know, what's the word?
Yeah, I don't know whether it, I don't think beaten up is appropriate. I think,
but yeah, pretty much from what you said.
Threatened was more like it.
Because she wasn't of that particular native origin or whatever, but using, and from all different kinds of practices, which is
right.
Different flavors of ice cream, but it's all ice cream. Commonality. Whatever you like as the facet, whatever you like as the option. That's our choice.
Well, and given that we have a finite set of words, there's only so many ways to express the same thing.
Yeah.
And if the energy underneath it is what's critical, then there's only so many ways to express that. And you know, you can't really copyright that, and you can't really, I mean, it's just because you're not incarnated right now as that particular ethnic group
doesn't mean you haven't been.
And at some point you didn't own it.
Right. Well, and that's the whole thing, is we've gotten so lost in what's not now, what's not present, what's not where we are right now, right? It's like, oh no, because this worked centuries ago, or this is how it was done, whatever. And we put so much weight on, oh, this is how it was done and it worked then. Right. I mean, we can talk about spiritual practices, magical practices, you know, energy practice, however you want to term it. But you can also, I mean, that's the same, that translates back to how we interact with others, right? That's, oh, well, that's how you were here, so that's how you've got to be here. Right.
Well, and I honestly think that we designed this to where if we couldn't figure this out, we just had to keep making our box smaller and smaller and smaller to get to the point where everyone just went, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't be this small anymore. This is unacceptable. And I think that we're still in the process of the box shrinking.
Yeah.
to make,
but we're almost getting claustrophobic with it now.
Right. To come to that level of unacceptability of any part of it.
Yeah.
And to no longer sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when we can start to do that, right? That's when it's a more, well, I don't want to say comfortable. It really isn't. it just becomes acceptable, a more accepting way of changing when you can just let go of those boxes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so, like, we can say, absolutely, can we activate different parts of our DNA that we've have deactivated or hidden from ourselves or spliced out, however you want to see it, right? Can we do that? Absolutely. Does it have to be like some big, huge, traumatic, cataclysmic thing in your life to do that? No, it doesn't, because that's our choice.
Right.
You can choose to do that. That's your choice. But you can also just realize, and it was just, I think, with what I was going through last week and focusing on, it was like it just caused me to suddenly, everything just looked so different
Right.
and it looked
And
so unaligned. And when I started picking at the unalignment, of course, I started seeing the mirror, which of course then pisses you off even more. But
right, right, right. But I really think that it's that when you choose to transcend where
Yeah.
you are, that that's what happens.
Yes. Yeah. And it's all how you perceive it. Like, if you perceive changes to be traumatic, then it's going to be traumatic. If you allow it to just be a different reset of reality in this moment, and
Right.
that's allowing that change, right? Now, we set those things, like we want to call it DNA or whatever, we set those things to be, even those things are structures that we've created to give us reference points.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so, yes, are we transcending old reference points and creating new ones? Yeah, we are. But it's almost like that's where we start to open the box up, though, right? So, yes, I am creating another box, but it's a bigger one, right? That gives me
Right.
more fluidity and flexibility. And then the next one can be even bigger. And that's sort of like, to me, it feels like an exponential thing, because the more we do that, the actually exponentially bigger the transcendence becomes.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, that feels
Yes.
good. That actually feels really good. And that's the practice for us, is to really get into that place of presence and see in that mirror what it is that we're still hiding from ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Sandy says perception is everything. Allow or not allow from the point of one's perception. Right. Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing, is when we start to just see it as expanding the box and, surrendering and allowing more fluidity,
Right.
more acceptance, more, and less individuality, and that's not the word I'm trying to say, but that's close to it. Yeah.
Right. Well,
Then
separation.
yeah, then it becomes easier to do things like, that we used to think about, like by location, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all these things, I've had those experiences, and it's like, well, it's a it's it's a very different experience, but it's also letting go of structures of reality and expectation that we have held in place. It's not learning how to do something different.
Right.
It's remembering how to let go of the structures that we've caused ourselves to limit us from doing
Right.
it.
It's unlearning something.
Yeah. Yes, totally.
It's like you're in every location. It's just you've learned to only focus on one.
Yes.
So in unlearning that, you can bilocate, trilocate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Many places you want to be. Well,
Right.
because you are. I mean, remember we went through that where we started calling all the facets of ourself back together. That was like
Oh,
months ago. I
right.
remember it was a very jarring, the first experience of that. It was like suddenly looking in this hall of mirrors and feeling like I could see in every direction in the multiverse, kind of thing.
Right.
And then that's like just like one little step. Again, that's taking steps of how much bigger we can allow the box, because we can call it one individual soul, which is then part of a bigger soul, what we call like a soul family. And it just gets bigger in a concentric way until it just
Mhm.
incorporates all, right?
Right.
And that's just breathless, like the ego just shuts down. Mind goes, yep, gotcha.
Right.
But part of it is, and it's not hard, it's just allowing and trusting and allowing, embodying that expansion. and being fluid to it without, and I felt like that what was hitting me in the face was, well, if you're going to allow this, then you have to let go of these. You have to let go of these matchsticks that you're keeping, like that, to hold things in place
Right.
in this way.
It's an either or. It's not some.
Right.
You
Right.
either do it or you don't do it. It's
Yep.
not like, oh, well, I'll let just this little bit in.
Well, and that's what we do. Oh, this is okay. I'm comfortable enough with
Right,
this.
right, right.
Yeah. At some point you say, well, I'm just going to jump right off that cliff, whatever that cliff looks like. So, and usually it's, you have the clouds there, so you can't even see what's underneath it.
Right.
So, all right. So today's session, I will focus on allowing ourselves, I would say, to see that in our own reflection, to see where we're still holding those points in place of old expectation of not now, right? And that's with others, in situations, in locations, in all kinds of stuff. To be able to see it in a way that's easy and clear, right? So that we can trust and allow ourselves to let them go, and align ourselves with where we are, fully be aligned with what we are, where we are in this moment.
I feel like that's already started.
Yeah, that feels great. All right, let's go.
All right.
And for anybody who's just watching, you just close your eyes, take a deep breath, open your heart, relax, and allow ourselves to step out of separation and back into wholeness as we hold ourselves at the vibration where that is our truth, and that's from where we exist and manifest and experience. All right. That took a while to settle in because there was all this chatter of all these different things. Like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? No, no, no. What about this? It's like, yeah, nope, all of it. It's all time to let it go. And then once it started, just sort of, it was almost like I kept on seeing it like matchsticks or little like cogs getting pulled out of, the wheel, like pulling stuff out. And then it was like, and then at the end it got really nice. And I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna go and do this after and go sit in there for a while.
Right. Yeah, I just for some reason the I guess maybe it was the rain coming down outside, and I kept seeing this whole thing of Noah's Ark, and I was like, what kind of story? Who believes that story? And turned into like, look at how we start pulling all that forward, and we teach our children, and I mean it's the indoctrination, and I was like, no, we just let it go. We just let all the stories go, all the myths, all the everything, and the peace. It was just like
Yeah,
that
like a big
creative
breath.
void. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
really nice.
it's nice. All right, so everyone, that's your home play for this week. Keep present on that. Keep present, period, right?
Exactly.
Not only with yourself, but allow everybody else to be present in their own, where they are.
Wherever they are. Exactly.
So on that, we're gonna let you go, and we'll be together next week
I know.
in the same place.
Right.
All right, so everybody have a great week. This is Angela Coulter and
Sarah Sieg Evagnoni
signing off with this week's Ascended World. Have a good one.